Welcome back, college baseball fans. You're here for another episode of the College Baseball Show here from Just Baseball Media, and we got another awesome Coach's Corner coming for you for head coach of the Oregon Ducks, Mark Wasikowski. How are we doing this morning, Coach?
Great, man. Another awesome day.
Yeah, we got 99 days till we get into opening day. There's so much to do, but it's been such an exciting fall. Coach, talk a little bit about yourself and how you got to Oregon and what you've kind of brought with yourself there.
Well, I got to Oregon years ago. I was an assistant for a lot of years. My whole career was assistant coach, whether it was at Southeast Missouri State for 2 years. Then I went to Florida, University of Florida in the SEC for 3 years with Andy Lopez, and then I went with Andy to University of Arizona for 10 years. Well, somewhere in the middle of there, Coach Horton offered me a job to be an assistant at Oregon, and I turned him down. And then after my 10th year, I accepted a position to be here as an assistant coach with George, and was here for 5 years. Then I left, and so that's how I got to Oregon initially. But then I left, and I went and I took a head job at Purdue. Was there for 3 years, and then I came back as the head coach here now. I think this is year 7. And so that's kind of how I got here, and I've just been blessed. It's an unbelievable place, and just trying to build it.
Yeah, Coach. I mean, you've really built that place up. I mean, Horton did a great job getting that program restarted. Awesome to have Coach on. And then, you come in, take over this program and really build it up to where it is now, perennial powerhouse. You guys are top 25 the last few years. Been really producing really good teams on the court, on the field now. 42 wins last year, Coach. Where do we look back to kind of take some things from that team and build it forward? I know every year is a new team, right? Every year has a new team, new leadership, new guys. But talk a little bit about just what you take from last year and build it onto this year.
Yeah, every year is a little bit different. I mean, last year we hit a lot of home runs again. We've had triple-digit home runs now, for the last couple of years, and it's the power piece of it. When I just was really humbled when I first took over the program. Coach Horton, he was here, and they didn't even have a baseball field when he first showed up. They didn't have a baseball field, and so for him to do the things that he was able to do here, and then I got a chance to take over is really been humbling. But we wanted to get more physical. I think part of it when he was coaching here, the bats were just coming. They were dead, a lot of dead bats, and it was a different era kind of college baseball. It's a little bit more lively now, and we've really committed heavily to the physical aspect of it. And so I think back in the day, it was really known as a pitching and defense program. We still pride ourselves in pitching and defense. A year ago, we had pitching numbers across the board, almost in the top 25 in the country. And defense is in the top 25 again in the country. And yet then the hitting was always kind of a small ball approach. And I just felt like we could do something a little bit different there. We wanted to be able to still use small ball to win games and stress opponents, just like George had a lot in his career. But we really wanted a physicality to our game that now we've seen for the last few years here at the University of Oregon, where our guys are really big. They look physical. They look like a football team in some capacity. And that's one of, that's by plan. And we spend a lot of time in the weight room. We live probably 5 days a week for over an hour a day. And we do a lot of different things. It's not just strength training, but it's a lot of mobility in a lot of different areas. But I think just the size of our players and the physicality is something that a lot of people like yourself that watch a lot of college baseball, it jumps off the page for.
Yeah, it's something you and I have talked a lot about is the fact that the game's kind of changing. It's shifting. You're getting bigger, faster, stronger athletes. And that wasn't always the case in baseball. But now you're starting to see it at the college level where you guys, especially, are leaning into it. You're putting in great facilities for these guys to have plenty of space to work out. They have the opportunity. They have great leadership as far as people teaching them in the weight rooms. And your guys' nutritionists. Can you talk just a little bit about your guys' approach here, in the off season, in the postseason, and like giving these guys the opportunity to have so many chances to work out and get bigger, faster, stronger?
Well, part of it's the lifting facilities. And so literally at our field, there's a lifting facility. And then just steps away from our field, there's 2 more lifting facilities. So there's really 3 weight rooms that these guys have access to, 1 at our field, and then 2 just literally like right across from our field. And so there's plenty of opportunities space-wise and facility-wise for them to lift in. I think not only that is, it's not just to have a facility. You got to have somebody like Daryl Hunter who does our strength and conditioning. Daryl was the guy that was the first Duck when they brought the program back. He was the first guy that George signed. And at the time he was a pitcher hitter. And, now he's a strength coach, and the guy is just absolutely jacked. He doesn't have any body fat, kind of runs in the family. I think his wife's even in better condition than he is. And that's hard to say because Daryl's really a stacked up guy, but he's really good at what he does. Bottom line, he's a baseball only guy. And he's really good at teaching strength and conditioning for not only pitching, which he was a pro pitcher, but for hitters as well. And the physicality and the mobility. There's a lot that goes into our 5 days a week program. And not only is it in the weight room and the facilities with Daryl, but it's traveling with him. It's having a baseball only guy. That was a big thing for me when I first came back. And I told Mr. Mullins, my athletic director that I get to work for here, I said, look, we want to be pioneers of this thing. We want to make sure that we are, doing things that others aren't doing. And part of that is not just facilities, but it's having a baseball only strength coach. On top of it, they're getting 3 meals a day here. They're getting fed, and it's not like hamburgers and hot dogs and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. They do have sandwiches at the nutrition bar. Every nutrition bar here has a bunch of sandwiches and protein shakes, and stuff that I only wish we had when we were coming up and playing. And every one of the nutrition facilities has that, but I'm talking about meals that they have. Every single breakfast is made to order breakfast. It's not just a buffet of, whatever, or an egg McMuffin. These guys are crushing it at breakfast every single day. We get that. The lunches are, there's some sort of a salad, fruit salad, and then there's a starch. There's also a huge protein selection: fish, chicken, shrimp, steak, tri-tip. At every lunch, every dinner, and then, the breakfast being made to order. So that's what these kids are getting to enhance their physicality after they get out of the weight room to either fuel or refuel. It's just amazing. It kind of gets all wrapped up together. It's not just one part or the other. And, credit the administration for having the same goals that we have in this baseball program, to say we want to be, at the top of the country when it comes to what we're doing. We don't want to be disadvantaged in any way.
Absolutely. And I talk to players all the time, and telling them, hey, when I was playing JC ball 20 years ago, it was a sandwich in a bag, and you maybe had a bag of chips. And now looking at the facilities these guys have for food and weightlifting, it's incredible. And just putting back into the program and having baseball only guys, especially for strength and conditioning, makes a big difference. It's a different physicality, and the way you guys have done it, I applaud it, Coach. You guys have big, strong kids. They really like to get after it in the weight room. And speaking more on that, your guys' leadership that you guys continue to breed year in, year out, you get these guys to step in and become these tremendous young men and great leaders. Is that something you recruit for? Is that something you kind of teach when they get there on campus as well?
It's a little bit of both. Good question. Part of the answer to that question is seeing how they act in the dugout, right? Seeing how they are with their teammates and coaches, and seeing how they act towards their parents when they either come to the ballpark or leave the ballpark. There are little things like that sometimes high school kids think are cliches or whatever. It isn't, because we're trying to, there's a lot of guys out there. Let's just take a pitcher, for example. There's a lot of guys out there that throw 92 miles an hour. Why one guy over the next? And if the stuff is basically the same, and the track record's basically the same, and the body type and the athleticism and maybe the success that they've had at the earlier levels, travel ball or high school ball, if all those things are pretty much equal, then what's next? What's left? Why one guy over the next? Some program just say, hey, let's just take them all. Let's just take 30 a year in every class and work it out. We don't do it that way. We're going to still be selective, and probably one of the bigger separators is exactly the dugout, how they are around their coaches and the other teammates. When they walk off that field, how are they with their parents? We do a lot of Zoom calls with kids in the recruiting process. I want to see how a guy respects his mom. Every day we start in the Hatfield-Dallin complex, and Hatfield-Dallin those are the maiden names of the Knight family. And so if the Hatfield-Dallin complex, which is basically where all the student athletes eat their meals, if it was so important for Mr. Knight to have that complex be where these kids are getting fed each and every day, that reminded him of the ladies in his family that prepared their meals for them at that time, if that was a priority for him, then we need to honor that priority for him in the way we recruit. And the way we recruit is we ask those kids questions with their parents on those Zoom calls, and we want to see how that kid interacts with his mom specifically. Does he respect her? And if there's a lack of respect there, that really can be that can eliminate a kid from our recruiting efforts, because that is not how Mr. Knight had his family rolling. And I guarantee if he saw we deviating from how he wanted it done, he'd probably deviate from us. And that's a bad thing, because then we'd be unemployed. We don't want that, you know? So I guess in a nutshell, it's those things. And then we do spend a lot of time teaching it. You know, I mean, we teach it each and every day. Just respect the people, just doing things right. You know, doing things right is a real blanket statement, but it captures a lot of things. And doing things right really starts with treating people with respect, regardless of how you rank them. And so I'll use this example. I'm getting long-winded, so I'll shut it down. But the example of this, Phil Knight was here compared to if somebody that was a facilities maintenance worker or something that somebody may deem as less than Phil Knight. Well, they're not less than Phil Knight. They're both human beings. They're both people. They're equal. One has done exceptionally well in business, amongst other things, and he's been super generous with his money towards our school and towards a ton of other medical related things. And it's his blessings are incredible. So is the other person. The blessings the other person brings to what we get a chance to do every single day. We can't go on without either one of them. And so they're both equal. Treat them that way, respect them that way. And I think if we can start with that, we teach that every single day. If we start with that, it's a real good platform and cornerstone.
Yeah, coach. I mean, you know, I've been covering this for 5 years and been able to visit you guys quite often. And every time I step to the facility, every time I step on campus, those young men, everybody you have in the facility, everybody treats each other with respect. Even when I was starting off, you know, they gave me a ton of respect. They wanted to talk to me, look me in the eye, and have conversations. And it really, you can feel it in the program. And guys like a Jacob Walsh from last year, you know, he really was a huge leader. And now you're leaning into a guy like Maddox Maloney, who comes in, and now he brings a lot of those things that a guy like Jacob Walsh did last year. Can you just speak a little bit about Maddox and his leadership qualities that he brings forward for you this year?
All right. Well, let's just stay with the same thing. So Maddox Maloney, Ryan Cooney, these kind of guys, Drew
Yeah.
Smith, Dom Hellman. So these guys were in the clubhouse even just this last year. And one of the standards of our program is to obviously just do things right, but keep the locker room clean. And so general statement, but that includes during practice. And so even during practice for our program, those guys in the locker room, there was a day, even at the beginning of this fall, that those guys, their leadership showed so strongly that they told the guys in the locker room, like there were shirts that were laying in lockers. There were some, it just wasn't neat. And these guys stopped it immediately and said, we're not doing it this way. And so they tightened the locker room up. All the shirts were hung up. It didn't matter if practice was going on or not. And then they went out to the field. Oddly, a couple of days later, and we didn't even know this was going to happen, but a couple of days later, there was a guy and his wife that just happened to be walking through. And I didn't even know who these people were. And they were walking through with somebody connected to the program, and they were doing a facility tour, and they walked in the locker room. We were on the field practicing. They walked in the locker room, and they did an entire facility tour. At the end of it, 2 days later, they gave us $25,000 check. And one of their comments was, you know, we couldn't believe it that the locker room looked the way it did, especially when practice was going on. Everything was buttoned up. It looked like practice wasn't going on and nobody was even at the facility. And yet that was the opposite. There was a practice. The guys were on the field, and yet it looked immaculate. And partially because of these kids' leadership, Maddox Maloney, Cooney, and the guys I listed, you know, that $25,000 check rolled in because of just that simple thing. And it impressed the gentleman and his wife at that level to where they scripted a check off, and their capacity to do so much more is there. And they just kind of rolled that check off, just going, well, that was really cool. Here's just kind of like $5 in their world. Here's $5 because I thought that was awesome. I'll buy you lunch. And I mean, $25,000 is a lot of money. And they scripted that check out just because they saw that one thing that came from a player-led deal, and Maddox and those guys were a part of it. So it's really awesome to have that internal leadership where the coaches don't have to be that guy.
Yeah, and you love it, right? You breed that in your team, and then these guys push it on the other guys, and then you're going to have another class of guys that's going to come up behind these guys and know that that's kind of the responsibility, and that's what's the expectations of being a part of this Duck program. And I think, Coach, that's the biggest thing you guys have built is just that responsibility and taking some ownership of their own facilities and making sure they're all picked up. Every time we even go do press conferences with you guys out there in the right field stuff, it's all cleaned up, it's all picked up. Those guys are ready to go. They understand their responsibilities. It's really refreshing to see at that level.
Well, I mean, you know, all you got to do is remember the days where you didn't have that stuff. And all of us came from that at one point in time. None of us had it as nice as we do at Oregon. And yeah, we want more. We want the best facility in the country. We want to win the most College World Series championships, all that kind of stuff. Well, I mean, part of that is just the path we're on right now. You got to do it. You got to do it first before those things come, or else it's called entitlement, right? And you're just getting it because you want it and you stomp your feet. How about earning it, right? And that's the fun part for us right now. We're earning a little bit as we go each and every year, and facility wise, or whether it's anything budget wise, chartered flights, anything at all. Instead of just pissing and moaning and asking for it, the message to the team is, how about we earn it? And these guys have really embraced it, and it's fun to coach a group that really has embraced stuff like that.
Love it. Coach, speaking about some of the guys here in the fall ball, I know you and I have talked about Maddox Maloney and Dominic Hellman. I believe that they both should be All-American candidates this year, and Ryan Cooney is right there as well. Is there anybody else that kind of surprised you in the fall and really took big steps forward?
Cal Scolari's a dude on the mound. He's got a big arm. I think he's going to be really, really good for us. He's a kid that transferred in. I got a new pitching coach. He came with his new pitching coach. And he's got great workout habits. He's got great work habits. His stuff is really good. I think he's going to help us. Kid that didn't pitch last year for us, he redshirted. A kid named Blake Crawford. His arm is big. He looks like he's really going to be able to help us. And there's a few other guys that look from an arm standpoint that can really, really help us in a big way. Will Sanford has really taken steps forward. He's a sophomore with us this year. He's embraced a lot of things that Coach Flores has been teaching, and that's really fun to see. So, those guys from a pitching side of it, and then the position side of it. I mean, we're really blessed to have Braden Jackson decide to go to college instead of take the money. Him and Angel Laya. I mean, those two guys, they got offered an awful lot of money to go out and sign pro. They're here on campus, and it looks like they were worthy of every penny that was offered, and if not more. They've lived up to the bill, which is nice. And there's other players that have showed up that are new and returners. Drew Smith, he's led our team in home runs. In the past, he was more like a gap doubles guy, and now he's really starting to figure out his swing to where he can drive the baseball out of the ballpark. And so that's been a big development, which is really cool. And I don't know, it's just across the board, there's a lot of really good, talented new players that are physical, should be able to continue the mold that we're looking for. And then many of the guys that are returners, it seems like there's some steps forward that have been encouraging.
Yeah, I think that what you guys have done is refill. I mean, there's a lot of guys that left last year that were very talented, drafted high, really good ball players. But I think you guys are right there again, Coach. Speaking about Big Ten, you guys won the regular season title. I know it was a split, but you guys did get that win of the regular season title. You look across out there in the Big Ten again, it's a very competitive league again. I mean, obviously UCLA has been a big buzz this offseason with getting to Omaha last year and all the returners. But could you just speak a little bit about Big Ten play and what it's meant? I mean, really, there were some really great teams that made the tournament last year and could have gone as far as Omaha, and UCLA did get there from the Big Ten.
Yeah, they did. And I think playing in Omaha for the conference tournament is only going to help Big Ten teams moving forward. Once they get to College World Series, they should play really, really well because it's basically the second stretch in the 4-week period. It's the second stretch of a Big Ten team being in the host side of the College World Series because that's where our conference tournament is. So I think that should be a home field advantage as we move forward, right? But yeah, the league I think is underrated. For UCLA, us and UCLA last year were on top. I think it would be poisonous to think that every single year Oregon and UCLA are going to be on top of that league because there are good teams in that league. There really are. It's an underrated league in my opinion. But nevertheless, I think there's a lot of talent in the league, and I think the teams are really good in the league, and I think this year you're going to see that as well. And so, I respect the job that Coach Stankiewicz has really done at USC. He's a really good baseball coach. There's other really good baseball coaches in the league too. I think Indiana's known to be a really physical team. Tracy Smith is a guy who knows his way around. Rick Heller at Iowa, he knows his way around, amongst others. And was, to be honest with you, one of the new guys in the league. The guy at Penn State, I think, is doing a tremendous job. You look at some of the kids he's got coming in the 26 and 27 classes, and that guy's doing a really good job at Penn State. He's a really good up-and-coming coach. So, I think that this conference can grow in a big way in terms of on the national scene. And I think you're seeing that in some of the recruiting things that are going on as well.
Yeah, you got a good mix of veteran head coaches, and you got some new guys, like you said, Gambino, Eddie Smith up at Washington, some guys that have really come in and really started to help build this conference up. I think that it's a conference on the rise for baseball. I think there's a lot of good teams out there, even like the Justin Hares at Ohio State. He's got things going the right direction. I expect big things from the Big Ten this year. Speak a little bit about the home ballpark, Coach. I know, last year there was a bunch of sellout crowds. The respect and the noises, it doesn't fill up all the time, but when it's filled, that stadium is unlike any other. It's a fantastic baseball stadium.
It was sold out the last 4 weekends of regular season play, and then our postseason regional was sold out in 12 minutes, the whole
Yeah,
regional. And so the people here go nuts. And the difference, it's a beautiful facility to start with. Number one, it's Pat Kilkenny Park. Pat Kilkenny made this thing. He's the GOAT right now of our program. He's of Oregon baseball. He's got his name all over the field for a reason. The field's beautiful. It's amazing. But the difference maker is the fact that 4 sections over the visiting team's dugout is packed, and those 4 sections are students, and the students show out. These kids, they love it, and I mean, they make a big difference. They make a big difference in what's going on here at Oregon. We've had to earn their respect. When I first got here, the attendance wasn't great, and now last year with the last 4 regular season weekends, not just games but weekends, all being sold out. This place is really turning into quite an event in college baseball, not just in West Coast baseball, but in college baseball, and great to be a part of it. I mean, we should be over 100,000 fans for attendance this year. And that's going from when we first started, a tremendous, improvement, and yet our goals are much, much higher.
yeah, I saw that the season tickets are almost sold out in the stadium. It's crazy that place is just filling up. I love it. It's one of my favorite ballparks to visit. As you know, when I go for regionals, I try to get a seat down below and get my own table set up just because I love being a part of the fan base. And they've really bought into what's going on, Coach. And a lot of it has to do with, the players you guys are bringing in. They're likable guys. They're people that people want to be around, and their families show up to ballparks. Can you speak just a little bit about what it is to be almost like a family friendly ballpark? There's stuff going on for all ages, and I bring my nieces and nephews. I've told you this. And I see the families are all in the ballpark, especially for those ball players. Just talk a little bit about what it is to be a family ballpark.
Well, they got deals for people that are real people. I mean, they're not charging $15 for a hot dog for a kid that's 6 years old. I mean, kid can get a $2 hot dog. Kid can get, you can get a cheap beer. You can get a $2 beer here. You can come and actually go to a baseball game and afford it instead of walk out feeling like you got fleeced, right? Um, you know, it's an awesome deal when you've got a game management group that gets it at the level where they're going to make things affordable for people, especially now. People are hurting in some areas, and so for them to take any money out of their pocket and go to a sporting event, it's got to be really affordable. And it's affordable here, and the product is good. It's a fun product to be at. There's a lot of excitement. I know a lot of the kids love the duck, and a lot of the fans love the cheerleaders and all that kind of stuff. It's all part of Oregon's experience. It all counts. But really what we're trying to be known for is a team that's a blue collar team that really grinds its way to wins. And our record at home has been really, really good, as a large part because of our fan interest and the impact, especially that our students make when they come to the baseball games, which is pretty much always now.
Yeah, and it's great to see that the fans show up and the students getting that student base in there and filling that up, especially behind the visitor dugout, makes a big difference when those guys are giving them a little bit of the razz and giving your guys a good time when they're going out there and making big plays. Coach, fall ball's coming to an end here. What's the hardest part now for the 99 days we have remaining here? Looking, you go, okay, we're almost done with the team workout stuff. It's all individual stuff. What do you guys push on those guys to be the best version of themselves going into break and then coming back January?
The hardest thing, first of all, is when you got to set a roster by December 1st, and
Yeah.
they're telling you that you got to cut your roster down, which I personally disagree with. I really feel strongly that a roster should be up to a coach's discretion on, within reason, how many players are on that roster, as long as that coach can manage it. And yet it's not that way. They're putting a number on us now, which I think is going to take away opportunities for young guys. I was a walk-on at Pepperdine, won a national championship as a player in 1992. There's a strong chance that I wouldn't have made that club had there been roster limitations at the time. And so that was one of the greatest baseball experiences of my life, for sure, that might not have been there had there been a different setup with rules. And so I am a little bit grumpy to the fact of that, self-admittedly. And so that's the hardest thing for me, is
Yeah.
telling a guy that, and I don't have anybody on our roster that I wouldn't want to coach for the entire year, but I'm going to have some guys not with us, which is really disappointing. So that's the hardest thing. Once you get past the roster, you start getting into just preparation for the springtime, and it turns into player development models. And each kid's got to have something unique for them from a player development standpoint, from the weight room, the nutrition, all the way through their game and their skill. And that takes a lot of time to be able to invest in that, to be able to show the kids what your plan is for them through video, and then put it on a piece of paper and really show them exactly what that means. This year we're going to be showing back up right after January. New rules say that we can start practicing basically as a full team right when we show back up the campus, just about, instead of having basically 3 weeks of prep time with skill work. It's basically a half of a week or a week of prep time and skill work, or just off time before we just flat out get into full practice, which, there's some, the more practice, the merrier. I'm a big believer in just let us be with the guys and let us train. I love it. The amount of time and all that kind of stuff. These kids at this level, right? Mark, they want to make it to the major leagues, and not only make it to the major leagues, but try to be pension guys, try to be all-stars, try to be that kind of guy. And hours during the week, yeah, we have to stick with the rules. But at the same point in time, the rules don't, they don't in some aspect take into account what it really is going to take these guys to make it to the major leagues. And so they got to spend a lot of time on their own training and developing. And so we got to do a really good job of being thorough about their plans that they have to where they can maximize that time on their own.
Yeah, I am happy with some of the changes, right? Like the being able to practice right away when you get back, basically. That's a good change. I mean, it should be a full 4 weeks of basically spring training, because that's what it is. You're basically getting ready for, the start of the season like they would in the MLB. But the thing of the rosters, I'm with you. I have really pushed for 40. I thought 40 was a better number than the 34. And even having an extension on top of that with some guys you could redshirt and not have them count on rosters. But the frustrating thing is, they've made these changes. We'll see what happens with them. I know that coaches across the country are dealing with the same thing, Coach. But it is one of those things we just have to look at. But I was with you. I thought the 40 was a better number, and I pushed for 40 for a long time.
Biggest thing, Mark, I mean, for our game, yeah, just for the betterment of college baseball, the biggest thing is moving the season back and aligning it with Major League Baseball. That's number one. I mean, until somebody at higher up levels, whether it's the NCAA or whether it's conference commissioners that jump on this thing and do it and push the season back, give us another month to be able to train, not play baseball in the winter, but move it to the summer, basically spring and summer, right?
Yeah.
You're going to decrease injuries. You're going to increase graduation rates. You're going to decrease the amount of time it takes for a student athlete to graduate. And you're going to be playing in the best part of the year, which is during the summer. Boys of Summer and all the songs that are written and all the movies, it's with hot weather and warm weather during the summer. TV windows are better. It can easily happen. It hasn't happened. It's the biggest thing that is a layup in college baseball to grow college baseball. There's no other game in college sports that has the potential to grow as much as college baseball, in my opinion. And all they got to do is address that and be able to slot it in. The TV windows line up. There are so many reasons to do it, and yet it hasn't happened yet. I'm going to be optimistic to think that it will happen because it just makes too much sense.
Yeah, I mean, move it to the second week of March, even like move it a month, and then
Yep.
you're just moving everything timeline a month. Gives you more time with the players, gets the college basketball season to be ending, and so then you're shifting the focus directly onto baseball. I'm with you, Coach. I think that there's a lot of differences we can make. I've seen a lot of growth in the game, which is fantastic, and we're starting to see bigger fan bases and bigger stadiums because now we're seeing a lot more people want to get out. And again, affordability is a big part of that. People can go watch a college baseball game with their family. It's hard to go to an MLB game sometimes just because of cost effectiveness.
Mark, the the explosion of college baseball. I mean, when I was at the University of Florida, and we're talking about the late '90s, right? At the University of Florida, and I'm coaching it in Gainesville. Arkansas didn't draw anybody. All right, Vanderbilt stunk. They were the worst in the league. That facility it's the actual same plot of land that Tim Corbin has absolutely developed it so well. And yet the bottom line is nobody went to the games. Nobody went to Arkansas. The only place they went to was at LSU, at Alex Box Stadium, because Skip had built that. But Auburn, nobody went. Alabama actually had some fans with Jim Wells when he was coaching there. South Carolina was 50-50. Yeah, there just weren't the interest in college baseball that you're seeing now. It's blown up. And so since it's blown up, let's continue to take steps towards making our game the greatest game. And the blessing is we get to play 56 games. And so if you're basically playing 30 to 36 home games at these awesome facilities across the country, open that up to where some of these places that are in the Midwest or in some places that aren't blessed with the best weather in the country can start their home games in great weather, maximize their fan base, because basically these other fan bases are going out to the ballpark whenever the weather's good, and when it is good, it's packed. And so I think there could be an attendance explosion throughout college baseball if they just address that issue.
I'm with you, Coach. Speaking of, building up and moving on here, how did the Ducks get back to the postseason this year? What's the plan? How do you guys keep moving forward with the momentum you guys have created over the last 3 years, Coach?
Well, I mean, we're going to have to do a lot of replacing, right? We lost more than half of our wins on the mound. Well, exactly half of our wins on the mound. 2/3 of our home runs. We hit over 100 home runs, and we had a couple of guys that were really good power hitters that are no longer with us. And yet we've got a lot of guys that are really good power hitters that are returning. So just continuing to do what we've been able to establish here at Oregon. I mean, the bottom line is if we can continue to do that, pitch well, play really good team baseball, defend the field, and have a priority towards playing good, solid defense, running the bases the way we traditionally have. We really have done the things, getting to postseason play as much as we have, which has been every year I've been a coach here. We've been in the regionals. And then 2 of those years we've been in the super regionals. There's only about 10 or 12 teams in the country that can say that they've been able to do that in the last 5 years. And we're one of them. And so for us to continue to do just those basic playing good baseball theme, that's what we need to do this year as well. And we've been able to do it every year so far. And we think we've got a club again that should be able to handle that.
Well, Coach, I can't wait for another year of Duck baseball. 2026 is going to be an awesome year coming out. Anything you want to share with the Duck fans before we get off here today?
No, I mean, not really. Nothing more than we've already talked about. It's going to be another exciting year, and I just want to thank them for everything that they've done for us and helping build this program, and specifically the donors that have really gotten now at this at this 2026 time, right? 2026 season, where are donors important in college baseball? And I don't think 5-10 years ago you'd say at the level that they are now, and now it's a really big deal. And so to thank the fans and the donors and the people that have had interest to grow this program along with our coaches that are out there, it's massive for us. And so thank you all so much. It's your impact is massive.
Yep. Can't wait, Coach. Can't wait to see you all at the ballpark. Can't wait to see all those fans. And thanks again for coming on the show.
Appreciate it, Mark. Have a great day. Go Ducks.
You too.